Back. Massacre in D.C. at this hour, 13 known dead after an ex-military man, now a government contractor, apparently, comes into the Navy Yard and unloads seemingly at random. With me right now, Commander Jim Liddy, retired Navy SEAL who worked at the Navy Yard. Commander Liddy, thank you for being with us. What can you tell us about today's happenings?
Well, what I can tell you is that when I first heard of the event, I assumed immediately that he had to have had an ID because the security at the Navy Yard is pretty good. Definitely always room for improvement. But in order to get in, he had to show some kind of identification, official identification, to get by the initial checkpoints. What still has to be determined is how does he get through those with a weapon, and if it's true that as soon as he was challenged, he pulled that weapon, that would explain it. But security...
Commander Liddy, this is something that's very, very confusing to me, and it's only highlighted by what you just said. If you have to show an ID to get in, we are not naming the name of the ID we think he had on him because we don't know that yet. And I don't want to pull some innocent person in on this. For all I know, the ID could have been stolen. So I'm not naming the person that had the ID we think he had. But the ID we think he had looks absolutely nothing like him.
And that's not terribly unusual. When I used to work red cell operations, which is where we would test security at facilities, Department of Defense facilities and other agency facilities, it was often fairly easy to show an ID rather quickly, and if the people aren't diligent enough to check it, you'd be amazed, and maybe you wouldn't be, as to the differences of an identification, that the similarity is not very good, and allowing those people to get through.
Commander?
Even an instance when we used a $5 bill folded that looked like the old green military ID, and that got by as well.
You're kidding.
No.
Somebody flashed a $5 bill as ID and they let them in?
Well, this was about a decade ago, and the people who know what those IDs looked like, they looked at like they look like a piece of some kind of monetary paper, green, and if you showed it quickly and flashed it by, and there was a lot of people, they would let you through. Now, post 9/11, things changed significantly, and there are more checkpoints, more screening, multiple badges. So
Is it true, Commander Liddy, that there are not metal detectors at every entrance? Because now some reports are surfacing, and we're trying to confirm it, that he comes in and guns down the security officer and takes his 9mm.
Yes, and there's two problems there. First of all, the reason why they don't have metal detectors is they do a prioritization. Wherever there's more sensitive activities and people and that sort of thing, they're going to have tougher screening, and they'll have metal detectors. But other areas, you have to remember, on the Navy Yard, part of that is a living museum of naval history, and so they do allow visitors, and some of these points maybe, I know from being there, are less diligent on the